Home buyers, housing prices are going up, interest rates are creeping up, and you may just get hit with an additional fee. You want to know what I'm talking about? Well, stay tuned because I'm getting into it right now. Hey everybody, Dietric.Williams, realtor with Compass, Baldwin Hills, California. Welcome back to another edition of Info on the Go, the show where I give tips, tricks, and insight on how to buy, sell, or invest in real estate the easy way. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you're notified every time I upload new content to YouTube. Now, this fee that I'm talking about, I have to kind of backtrack and give you a little bit of an overview on what's happening in the market right now, or at least in the real estate landscape. So a few years ago, there were a couple of plaintiffs in, I believe, Illinois and Missouri that sued the National Association of Realtors, or NAR, claiming that the commissions that they paid were inflated. When an agent takes a listing and puts it on the MLS, they usually have the seller sign what's called a listing agreement. In that listing agreement, it spells out what commission will be paid to the listing agent's brokerage. Now, normally that commission falls anywhere between 5 and 6%. I'm just going to use 6% because that's kind of been the industry standard since I don't know when, and it makes the math a little bit easier. Essentially, the listing agreement says, hey, Mr. Homeowner, you agreed to pay me 6% to sell your home, and I'm going to do my best to try to find a well-qualified buyer. If I do that, you agree to pay me 6%. However, if there is an agent in another brokerage or even within the same brokerage that I'm in, I will split this commission and give them a portion of it. Now, normally that commission is split 50-50. 3% would go to the listing agent brokerage and 3% would go to the selling agent or the buyer's agent's brokerage. In this instance of the lawsuit, the plaintiff claimed that, hey, I didn't know that I can negotiate not having to pay for the buyer's agent. Why should I pay for the buyer's agent? Why can't the buyer pay for their own representation? And the DOJ said, you know what? You're absolutely right. Why should you have to do that? Why can't a buyer pay for their own agent? As a buyer, especially for a lot of first-time home buyers out there, typically, you don't have a ton of cash just laying around to be able to purchase a house. Chances are you may be going through FHA or VA. So let's just say you're going through FHA, which requires minimum 3.5% down. Your closing costs on that home range anywhere between 2 and 3%. I usually split the difference. I know Chris Voss says don't do that, but I'm gonna do it in this instance. Split the difference at 2.5. So that 3.5 plus that 2.5 equals 6%. If you are being represented by an agent, more times than not, they're gonna have you sign what's called a buyer-broker agreement. In that agreement, it says, at least here in California, that you as the buyer agree to pay your agent a certain commission. So let's just say in this instance, it's 3%. However, if someone else pays that commission, you as the buyer are not on the hook for that. If you as a client have agreed to pay me 3% and we go out and find you a home and we're getting ready to close and the seller says, hey, I don't agree to pay your buyer's agent 3%. I'm only paying my agent 3%. You as a buyer would be on the hook for paying me, your agent, the 3%. If the seller says, hey, I'll pay the 3%, you as my client aren't on the hook for anything. If the seller says, hey, I'll pay the buyer's agent, but I'm only gonna give them 2%, you would be on the hook for the remaining 1%. Here's where it really gets interesting. There's other lawsuits that say, hey, because the amount of commission is not made public to the buyer side, they don't know whether their agent is getting 1%, 2%, 3%, or whatever the case may be. And who's to say that if the commission is low, like 1%, that agent is not steering that client to different houses, which we shouldn't do because that's unethical. Again, it's not about us, it's about you. But some agents will actually do that. This one not included. A couple of different pieces in there, right? So there's a lot of things that are swirling around, and I just want you to be abreast of kind of what's happening. Because if the judges and the DOJ side with the plaintiffs and these things come out that, yes, you are going to be able to negotiate your commission, which you always have been able to do. But as sellers, sometimes this isn't clear in the listing agreement that you don't have to pay the buyer side. The buyer can actually pay their own agent. So again, in this instance, if you are paying me as your agent, you have agreed to pay 3.5% down payment, 2.5% closing costs, which is 6%, and 3% to the buyer's agent. That's 9%. If the house that you're looking to purchase is a $700,000 home, which in California, here where I am, in LA in particular, that's around the median home sales price. So 9% of 700,000 is a whopping 63 grand. If you were not paying that 3% and you were only paying the 6%, you would pay 42 grand. That's a difference of $21,000. So in today's climate where housing prices are increasing and interest rates are increasing, that means that now you're paying more for the house and your mortgage is going to be higher. So this is where you really need to understand how all of this works. I'm not here to say whether the judges should rule one way or the other. This isn't what this is about, right? Because as an agent, most people are going to say,
Dietrich, you're gonna side with NAR. You want to do everything that NAR does.
Not necessarily so. There are things that NAR does that I absolutely don't agree with because I don't like those particular rules or those policies. My whole goal is to educate you and give you the information. And at the end of the day, I just want you to be able to get the house you want or sell the house that you have and be able to make it fair for you, right? So if you can negotiate your commissions, either on the sell side or the buy side, I would highly advise you to do so. Now, you're probably gonna get pushback from an agent that says, this is what I charge, this is what I'm worth, and they're gonna stand to that. It's up to you to decide. Do you want to continue to go with that agent? Do you trust them? Do you think they're going to get the job done? Or do you feel that they are kind of the average agent? They're not really going to go to bat for you, and what they're charging you is inflated based on the value that they're bringing you. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. What's the value that your agent is giving you? If they're not giving you value, by all means, negotiate that fee. Well, even if they are, you probably still want to negotiate the fee because you probably want to keep dollars in your pocket. But if your agent is giving you value, that may be something that they're going to push back on because they know the value that they bring to the table. The lawsuits haven't settled yet. Nothing's settled. Nothing's been decided just yet. But this could change the landscape of the real estate industry moving forward as there is more competition. There is more people who want to compete. There are people who are going to ask for rebates. So on the buy side, you may ask your agent to rebate a portion of the commission to you to help cover some of those closing costs or down payment. In some states, that's illegal. In other states, it's perfectly legal. Even that right now is a point of contention that people are trying to sue for, just to make it fair and competitive across the board for buyers and sellers and other people in the marketplace, that this isn't some type of monopoly that NAR is doing. When I say NAR, I'm talking about the National Association of Realtors. This video right here is not to take sides with NAR, sellers, buyers, or agents. I'm really just giving you the information. I'm just giving you the facts so that you can make an informed decision and that you understand in the future, like if this pops, what things you can do to mitigate the amount of money that you may have to pay your agent, if any at all. I wish this was gonna be a video that was a lot more exciting and sexy. It's really not. It's just to give you that information that you understand what can be coming down the pike, and again, what you can do to really just understand how you can play in the sandbox should that time come up.